I've like cried a lot over this project. Um, fuck. I have like 30 minutes of me crying to edit. Love that. Ooh, maybe I'll use that as like a cold open. I hope this glare isn't distracting. Maybe it is, whatever. Okay. I created Club Friends at a time when I was desperate to imagine new possibilities for myself. New ways of thinking, exploring, and feeling. The question I arrived at was, how do I create the moments I want more of? Hi. I wanted to take some time to introduce myself and talk to you about my project Club Friends. I think some people following me have met me various sorts of ways, some music related, some not music related, some through the design festival, some have been introduced to me through the Inquirer article or WXPN. But you may not have heard from me directly. So this is what this is. It's overdue. I will say that I've been trying to do this. I've wanted to do this for several months at this point, probably since even before I started the project, but I was very nervous isn't quite the right word, but it's something adjacent to it. So that'll suffice for now. I want to firstly say that, or rather set the foundation that despite what it appears to be on the surface, Club Friends is not about music. Not in the way that it may appear to be, or that people may expect it to be for something that has radio and records attached to its name. Club Friends is a project that I started as a way for me to answer some questions that I had. And the biggest question of them all is, what do I want my future to look like? In attempting to answer that question, what became really obvious, or I think rather heightened for me, was this idea of moments, but specifically moments where I think I felt some clarity, or I think even just like felt. I think that is significant in of itself. And that really was a feeling that was contrasting how I was experiencing my time when I created this project. Yeah, so there's this emphasis on moments, specifically moments as like tools that I could use to direct me in shaping a future that makes sense for me, that I feel like more aligned to, that I feel good about. And in retrospect, I felt like there were some threads to pull in those moments. And this project is really like at its most stripped back, it's just me pulling on threads. That's all it is, really. But I'm doing so in conversation because for me, language was what I needed and what I felt like was required to define things for myself, define possibilities. And so that is why probably the most central component to this Club Friends project is me talking to people and like facilitating experiences where I can have discussions and interact with like new thoughts and new feelings. The exhibition was absolutely that. The radio part, which is like televised on Philly Cam, that is kind of where those conversations live, and it gives me an opportunity to experience a little something more extensive than I felt what I could do on dance floors or like in nightlife communities. And I think it also really frames how this project isn't necessarily about music itself, but more so about the things that it's facilitated in my life, like having like a sense of like self-understanding. So yeah, there's this emphasis on moments, and when I look back on moments, or like rather the context of the moments in which like I was feeling things that I wanted to feel, music was always at the center of it. I'm gonna read this thing I wrote. I'll probably publish it somewhere so people can read it, if they prefer that over listening to this. But here it starts. In the Inquirer article, I was quoted saying, "I'm designing my life." That is really what this entire experience is. Going from a place where I didn't feel the things I wanted to feel and figuring out a way I can integrate that into my life and into my future. That's what I'm doing. I created Club Friends at a time when I was desperate to imagine I've like cried a lot for this project. And I can't exactly like pinpoint like why it makes me emotional, but it does. So as long as this project exists, be prepared to see me cry. Okay. I hope this glare isn't distracting. Maybe it is, whatever. Okay. I created Club Friends at a time when I was desperate to imagine new possibilities for myself. New ways of thinking, exploring, and feeling. The question I arrived at was, how do I create the moments I want more of? Fuck. I created Club Friends at a time when I was desperate to imagine new possibilities for myself. New ways of thinking, exploring, and feeling. The question I arrived at was, how do I create the moments I want more of, the moments that move me? How do I ensure there's space in my future, even when I don't know what it looks like? I chose to immerse myself in them through conversation and design. Transforming my living room into a record store was a way for me to ensure these moments don't escape me. Transforming my living room into a record store was a way for me to ensure these moments don't escape me. That they will be memorialized and on display through my collection of physical media. That they would create Transforming my living room into a record store was a way for me to ensure these moments don't escape me, that they will be memorialized and on display through my collection of physical media, that they would create an environment facilitated by music to share the kind of connectivity and and comfort I rely on when I need to feel like myself, especially in an unfamiliar place. That's what Club Friends is. On the surface, this project looks to be about music, but it's not really. It's a celebration and exploration of what it's facilitated for me. Moments where I felt certain, curious, and optimistic. Moments that enable me to imagine realities beyond the one I'm currently living. Moments that move me. For me, 90%, if not more, of those moments are in music-centric spaces. Through many conversations I've had as a result of this project, I've realized that dance floors are what define my relationship to music. It informs what sounds good to my ear, what feels good in my body. It also informs how I discuss art, the subjective, the intangible. Because of those experiences, I know what it feels like to be moved by something. Yes, the music, but I'm also talking about seeing the sunrise through big glass windows. Because of those experiences, I know what it feels like to be moved by something. Yes, the music, but I'm also talking about seeing the sunrise through big glass windows. Feeling anew after a conversation with a stranger. A shift in perspective encouraged by a succession of welcomed curiosities. These are things dance floors have given me, and they are things I've learned to find off the dance floor. Damn. These are things dance floors have given me, and they are things I've learned to find off the dance floor, beyond nightlife, and in substance-free environments through club friends. It was so meaningful to share that during the festival. I had so many conversations and interactions. It was so meaningful to share that during the festival. It was so meaningful to share that during the festival. I had so many conversations and interactions. It was so meaningful to share that during the festival. I had so many conversations and interactions that brought me back to center, or where it was so meaningful to share that during the festival. I had so many conversations and interactions that brought me back to center, or were glaring signs of, yeah, this is important to me. I need to explore this. I need to see what's here. At the time, I felt like I couldn't access the language required to imagine something new for myself. When I first started interviewing for Club Friends, I was desperate. I was just like, let's see what happens when I follow the good. When I follow what I'm certain about. And I'm certain about these moments that are important to me. These moments that I've had largely on dance floors. I have more to say, but I just need to get this posted before I talk myself out of not doing so. Yeah. And the light's changing, so that is not great for editing this, because this is absolutely going to be edited. Because I can't expect people to be patient through my pauses and my crying. But yeah, thanks if you made it this far. Shout out to you. Okay. Also, I took a break from filming and, interviewing, filming, and editing for the festival. I had no idea how tedious and difficult, and also frankly how much I hate editing, until I had a batch of 6 episodes in front of me, and wow. So I'm going to figure out a plan, mindset, framework that works for me to have a more positive approach to editing. But yeah, thanks so much. If you made it this far, thanks so much for sticking with me. And I'll probably post an AMA. I'll do like a little question box in my Instagram story that I'm going to, I guess for now, I'll host it on both like my personal and club friends. And yeah, feel free to ask me any questions. T. Feel free to ask me any questions. And also, I'm taking opinions on these blue light glasses. I figure like it would be fun for dramatic effect when I'm talking. But also like, you know, protect your eyes. I like the shape, but they might be a little too wide for my face. But they're so tea. I think this is a good color on me. Yeah. DM me if you want them. DM me if you want my makeup deets. Lol, this is so unhinged. Wow, I have like 30 minutes of me crying to edit. Love that. Ooh, maybe I'll use that as like a cold open. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Ta-ta!